Welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. We got a packed evening, so thanks for coming out. For some of you who know me, know GHI, we do a lot of online education, a lot of webinar trainings. So most of the time when I'm presenting and moderating, I'm in my pajamas down in the basement, having a beer, having some coffee, a little bit of both. And staring at a computer talking to about 100 people. So I don't get to see everyone's faces all the time, so it's good to get out of the basement. It is a little nerve-wracking, so if I'm crying or looking afraid of all of you, because like I said, I'm staring at a computer usually, I'll go hide, run off. So anyway, I want to say a big thanks to Founders Brewing, who actually donated this space for this event, and for several others that we're going to be doing throughout the course of next year. So a big thanks to them for doing this. And then also big thanks to Michigan Agency for Energy. We actually, way before my time, used to work with them way in the past when I was in high school, before I even joined this organization, on doing trainings and education. And so this will be the first time we're working with them again for quite a bit of time. So I'm very thankful for their support. And Julie here is going to talk a little bit more about what they do. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Brett. I'm Julie Staveland. I'm with the Michigan Energy Office, and we're under the Michigan Agency for Energy. Thanks, Brett, for letting us come and grab a couple minutes of your time. I'm going to keep it short. I just want to let you guys know about a couple of the programs that we offer in our office. One of them is the Community Energy Management, where we work with communities and school districts, providing them funding to meet them on the energy spectrum wherever they're at in energy management, whether it's beginning with audits all the way through implementing and like switching out LED light or switching to LED lights. We also sponsor the 2030 districts in Detroit and Grand Rapids, helping them meet their 50% reduction in greenhouse gases by 2030. We also have a codes compliance collaborative that we're working on, trying to find the gaps with the Michigan commercial codes and see how we can improve the energy in those codes. We also have the sponsorship that we offer for different events like this one that we're doing here tonight, providing funding for events, meetings, trainings that have an energy-related component in them. And then we're also offering building operators certification training for building operators, either whether they're new or need refreshers throughout the next coming year. We're also accepting ideas for our next kind of grant funding cycle for 2020. So if you have any ideas or suggestions, or you want to learn about some of our other programs, we've got some cards on the table over there, and then I've got some more in the back. So please feel free to stop by afterward, and we'd be happy to talk to you about more of our programs. And we're happy to sponsor this event. So thanks.
All right, so those of you who don't know who we are, this is the GreenHome Institute who's putting this on. We're a nonprofit. We're local to Grand Rapids. We've been headquartered here since 2000, so we're going on almost 20 years now. And my name's Brett Little. I'm the executive director here at the GreenHome Institute. This particular course here, for those of you who are interested, make sure you sign in and check it off if you want Con Ed. It's approved for several different types of certifications, AIBD, BPI, Certified Green Professional, GBCI as well. And it's also Michigan Realtor approved as of today. And then also those of you who need AIA, it's American Institute of Architects Health, Welfare, and Safety, which may make it applicable or should make it applicable to your builder's license or designer license within the state of Michigan. So lessons learned, we're just going to be talking about how, why, and practical approaches to electrifying homes, multifamily, and other types of buildings. So what does going all electric mean? What does it mean when we say, let's electrify everything? Let's get more electrification into our buildings. What are we saying? What aren't we saying? What are we talking about? And what do we want to achieve? And so for the most part, we're talking about space heating, water heating, which is our biggest barriers for doing this. And we're also talking about cooking, transitioning our cooking, which is very difficult to do. People like their gas stoves. And then we, in most cases, we're not necessarily talking about fireplaces, indoor fireplaces. There are some cool LED fireplaces that are coming out that look almost real. But for the most part, those being mostly for aesthetics and not usually being for heating purposes, we're not necessarily referencing at this point in time. So the other thing, obviously, when we talk about building electrification is we're talking about getting rid of combustion, right? So the old way and the way we still do it, but the growing outdated way that we create energy through burning things, through burning natural gas, propane, wood, and in the Northeast, heating oil. I'm going to throw my dad under the bus here because he burns coal in his house to heat his house right now. So we're trying to work with him to shift him off of that. Hey, it came with the house. It was not his idea, but I know I'm completely discredited now and I should leave. But that's what we're talking about here, getting off of combustion. And it's hard. It's hard to do. So, why is combustion concerning? If you're talking about going all electric, you're talking about line loss, right? So the biggest pushback is that loss of efficiency when the electricity is coming from the coal plant, the natural gas plant, even from the nice wind turbines that we have dotted throughout our great state. We lose a lot of energy and power through that line loss. So that's always one of the biggest pushbacks. But the reality is, from extraction all the way into your house or commercial business, maybe right now, gas is leaking everywhere. And that's money being leaked out, that's energy being leaked out, and that also could be a potential health or safety risk as well. And so there are concerns of that. So the Environmental Defense Fund went around with a little Google car placed with a gas sniffer on it around major cities and was detecting all of these leaks everywhere and kind of showcasing, hey, there are these gas leaks going on and it could be costing money, and also puts off methane in the air, which is 4 times more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. So we're going to be handing out some gift cards tonight to those of you who can guess some trivia stuff. So you saw Boston on that map earlier, but in the context of what I'm talking about, what happened in Boston? Anybody? What's that? Houses blew up. Right. Yeah. So give the man a card, Dan. This is our board member, Daniel Morrison, handing out gift cards. So there you go. First one down. Right. So yeah, I think the number was 50,000 people. Not just lost gas, right? In September. I think that was like the final total number. 12 people died. Unfortunately, businesses were shut down. Small businesses, I heard, were lost. Just while we were enjoying our Thanksgiving dinners, there were, as a result of that, 1,500 people in these gas explosions who still didn't have heat, still didn't have hot water. Now, this is an extreme case, but that's a lot of people to have been have their homes, property damaged through a mistake of the wrong type of gas being sent down a pipeline. Now, this is something that just popped up on my feed, and obviously there are recalls all the time for all sorts of things, but this is a lot of gas water heaters, natural gas water heaters that were recalled for potential fire issues. So something that, just very concerning. The other thing that we have to worry about is carbon monoxide poisoning, which can be deadly. Now, obviously, that's very rare, but there's also the low-level carbon monoxide that comes from burning natural gas and propane, and that can have effects such as flu-like symptoms, reducing the ability to think, having impacts on the health of young children and the elderly. So that can be concerning. And then I remember back 3 years ago when we had the big snow issues here, a lot of damaged chimneys, a lot of flashing damage on those chimneys. Why do we have those chimneys? We're using it to vent naturally drafting water heaters or furnaces. And so those chimneys that were being used for these gas appliances, causing durability failures, moisture issues, mold, and rot, and also energy waste. And then also just standard venting in new construction even has a cost to it. You have to pay for that venting. And then also it can be a potential heat loss or a potential for pest entry as well. So, you know, when we have combustion, we've got to get the leftover from burning it out of our homes and out of our buildings. And so these are some of the downsides. The other thing I want you to look at are heat load calculations, right? This is a lot. If you ever look at these things, there's a lot of information on here that you probably don't need. But if you zoom in a little bit, you know, you can see that we have demand loads that are shrinking and shrinking, even in our climate, as people build greener and as codes get tighter. So this is kind of a subjective question, but I just want to throw out there, you know, what is your standard BTU or MBH of your just standard, maybe single stage gas furnace? Like, how low can your conventional ones get? Who said that? 45? 45 is one. Has anyone seen anything any lower? What's that? 30? Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah, we'll take that one. So give Sean one. All right. I've seen some down, you know, down to 24, 22 now. But the reality is our buildings are getting tighter and tighter. And so this is an example of a load that we saw in a building and this is a renovation of a multifamily building down to about 11. And so, you know, you want to make sure you have a properly sized heating system. You actually want it running all the time as much, you know, as you can, rather than turning off, firing up, turning off, firing up. And so these standard natural gas systems are getting, you know, they're just oversized for our more energy efficient homes and buildings. And Sean, who answered that question, knows about some cool stuff that actually can get lower if you still want gas. So make sure to talk to him over there, Sean Wright. There are some opportunities and other solutions out there. And speaking of that, so that's innovation. So where has innovation left us? Efficiency's kind of tapped out, right? 98%, really can't get any more energy efficient than that. As I mentioned, if we can get lower MBHs or BTU loads for a more affordable price without doing modulating, that would be helpful. We could probably, you know, see some more innovation there. And then what's really coming up with the innovation in natural gas appliances is kind of like your Chevy Volt, right? Your dual fuel car, your dual fuel systems. So being paired with heat pumps so that the heat pumps can operate when it gets a lot colder, the natural gas furnace kicks in. And that's kind of that next level of what we're seeing. And that's, you know, introducing more electricity and more electrification into the heating of buildings. So the other issue is if you want to have a net zero property, zero carbon, net zero carbon, call it what you will, I would argue that it's difficult to do that if you're still using combustion. And the reason that is because while on the energy modeling side, on a one-for-one basis, you certainly can use renewable energy to offset the emissions that natural gas appliances or propane appliances created. So you can, you know, from an energy standpoint, but from an emission standpoint, no matter how much renewable energy we pile on, there's still going to be emissions from our natural gas appliances that the renewable energy is not taking away. So that can be, you know, a bit of a concern for natural gas as well. All right, so for another gift card, who can name somebody famous that's involved in this very old movement that's no longer happening right now? Better living, basically, you know, living better electrically, going all electric. Anybody know? Elon Musk. No, way before that. Al Gore. What's that? All right, well, we'll give it to Dave. He's one of our board members. We'll give it, yeah. No. Well, okay, how about this? Who can name, so it's Reagan, but who can name the company behind it? What's that? GE? Yeah. All right, yeah, so GE, Ronald Reagan, and this was way back in the day, before he was president, this idea that we can live better all electric. And I think it worked out pretty well in the Pacific Northwest and California. but really did not make it through to the cold weather climate states. And that's just because they were ahead of their time. We weren't there yet, but I think we're there now, and I think we can do it, and I think we can live better electrically and do one good for the Gipper. So here we are. Innovation is happening really fast in the automobile sector. We always, in the building community, think if we could only innovate like they do with automobiles, because they innovate fast. And so we've got all electric cars. We've got the Tesla. Daniel Morrison here, one of our board members, drives one of these. So if you want to talk to him about it, he'll tell you all about it. They're getting more affordable, huge numbers. I think this was fourth quarter, number 4 luxury car on the market within 2018. And so, you know, the automobile industry is electrifying, and it's electrifying really fast. And I think that the building industry is going to be following suit. So you can see kind of those yellow tabs down there. This is the Energy Information Administration, EIA. They put out a 5-year data on all sorts of energy use you could think of for buildings. They put out a 5-year or so residential cycle. And you can see here in the US, homes that are all electrically heated, just trending up from 93 to 2015 to I thought the last number I saw was nearly 34%. Now, obviously, you can see that's happening more so in the South, no surprise there, but even in the Midwest where we are, you can see it's happening, that we are electrifying faster already. Obviously, in places like California, this is really easy, makes a lot of sense there, as I mentioned, but massive tract home builders committing to large communities that are fully electric and gas-free is a sign of the direction that we're headed. If you've ever heard of the Rocky Mountain Institute, they put out fantastic reports and data, and I love everything they're doing, and they're just putting out more and more information and more thought. And so they put out this report that you can download and kind of read through right now, and it covers 4 different major cities in different parts of the country. So the one I want to focus on is Chicago, just because it's our closest region and it's the most relevant to us. But what you can see is a 15-year net present value, new construction. If you do a standard heat pump system and water heating, you're looking at maybe a $10,000 cost to operate in your standard to code new home. If you're still doing natural gas with AC, you're looking at nearly $14,000 operation costs. Now, on the retrofit side, it's obviously a wash. It's dead even there. So a little more difficult to justify it, but definitely on the new side, you're looking at way less operation costs for heat pump systems. Now, where it gets tricky here is the carbon emission side. So right now, the heat pumps, as you can see at the top there in the green, are having higher emissions, and that's partially because our grid around these areas has a lot more coal on it. But our grids are cleaning up really fast. We're converting more to natural gas, more to renewables. And actually, if you look at their report, these numbers are reversed in every other part of the country that they had shown. But right now, if you were to do this, you would honestly be adding more emissions in the short term until our grid continues to clean up, according to their report. All right, so who's doing this? So this is Michael Clement. He's a great guy. He's one of our members from Architectural Resources, and they're having a huge tour on the other side of the state, and unfortunately it's sold out. But the Visible Green Home Tour occurs quite a bit, so you can check that out. But they got featured in them live for this super tight passive house project that they're building. And just for a gift card, does anybody want to guess? Just take a guess. What kind of HVAC system do you think they're using? Radiant. What's that? Mini splits. There it is. Jake knows, so give the man one. Right. So they are using ductless mini splits from Mitsubishi to heat and cool this house completely duct free. And the other thing to know about passive house is it's super energy efficient. So I really want to stress that to do this building electrification, we are talking about making our homes and buildings as efficient as possible before we do that so it can work in our cold weather climate state. This is Habitat for Humanity, Grand Traverse. They've got 10 all-electric homes up north. It's a community up there. LEED Platinum, zero energy homes up there. They've got 2 mini splits, one up, one down. Tom Phillips is here. Raise your hand, Tom. He can tell you about what they did. But there was some trouble at the beginning with comfort, I believe, but they got that worked out. All electric homes. This is Evan Matheson Architects. Is anyone here from there today? All right, yeah. So he's one of our members. Great to have you. This is his personal residence, Deer Haven, all electric home with geothermal wells. And you can see, yes, there's a chimney there, but that's for an aesthetically pleasing biofuel fireplace. So not for heating, but for looks. This is in cold weather climate zone 6 up in Minneapolis, Roseville. This is a super tight home. That's I call it a power plant. 20 kW of solar. These people are living so electric that their leaf blower, their lawnmower, everything is electric. They drive 2 Teslas, and they power everything 100% with the solar right on their house, even their driving habits, 100%. And they're still making bank, $4,000 a year after doing all of that, getting paid back to them. Different rules in Minnesota for the utilities. This is Sam Pope's Ecometrics, all electric home right in Lowell. Geothermal wells, standard electric resistant hot water heater, electric stove, near passive house certification standard, LEED Platinum home. This is the Purcell residence down in Fenville. Eric Hughes right here, one of our members, he's the designer. Jake back there from Our Value, builder. First Green Star Platinum certified home, zero energy home. And it's fully all electric, induction stove, heat pump water heaters. And they've got a HVAC system called Chiltrex. It's kind of a new system on the market, but it's got really high, almost near geothermal efficiencies, but it's a heat pump system to heat and cool the entire house. And we'll be releasing a video of this house, doing a tour of it, coming up here real soon. So you probably thought about new homes. Okay, that's easy to do. Existing homes are happening as well. This is Matt Grokoff in Ann Arbor, happyhome.how. This is a 120-year home maybe by now, a historic home that's all electric. You can see his Chevy Volt parked there. I think he just upgraded to a Tesla. And they've got geothermal wells. He's the one who taught me about induction back in 2011. Never heard of it until then. This is Matthew Hollander winning an award for a 15% energy reduction in Matea Court affordable housing 100-unit single family attached apartment complex. I believe this is an all-electric development with ductless mini splits in it and heat pump or regular electric water heaters. This is again back up in Minneapolis, right downtown Minneapolis. This is a LEED Platinum gut rehab with an addition on it, and we filmed this whole thing as well. We have it up on our website. And they actually, this is a really tight urban lot where they sunk geothermal wells right in the back there. And so really tight lot, but you know, they were able to do it right in the urban area. That was a GeoComfort system on that house. And I think Catalyst, do you have any gas? No. Catalyst Partners, Eric over there. This is a small commercial building, geothermal, electric water heating through the assist, right? You have induction or just standard electric? No cooking. Yeah, no cooking, that helps. But right there in Grand Rapids, as you can tell, it's happening with commercial buildings as well. And so Nate couldn't be here today. I really wish he could have been, but we're going to be giving out 2 of his books in a raffle that will be mailed later on. But one of the reasons that Nate Adams actually couldn't make it here today, he's one of the all-electric gurus that I've learned a lot from, is that he's out there in the field, right? He's out there in homes, small businesses, and he's shutting off gas meters left and right. Now, his goal isn't to shut off gas meters. His goal is to help people solve their problems, be more comfortable, be healthy, and reduce their bills. But as he does that, he finds that it doesn't make any sense for them to use gas anymore. And so he's out there day in and day out helping people out, and it's working. So real quick, before I hand it off to our speakers, I want to get Michigan Save's Patrick up here and just talk a little bit about some financial resources that exist for these types of buildings.
Thank you, Brett. Michigan Saves, just to let everybody know, is how many people are familiar with Michigan Saves? Oh, wow, that's great outcome. Contractors mainly that are familiar with it overall? So it's a program, nonprofit through the state of Michigan, that is available for residential, commercial, municipalities, public sector. Our flagship was the HELP program, or the Home Energy Loan Program for residential. We then have also added these other projects. We recently just added IPC Capital, which is going to give us some longer terms for multifamily and other commercial projects, larger scale projects. And here we go. I'm just going to move forward here. This is our contact slide. But essentially, I don't know how many in here are commercial contractors and or residential. So commercial, couple, third or so, and residential. So a larger number. Our residential program runs through, we have a loan center that operates 24 hours a day. Customers use an authorized contractor in our program. We have 6 residential lenders throughout the state of Michigan. We have a great one right here in Grand Rapids, which is Lake Michigan Credit Union. But we have statewide coverage. Rates on the commercial end are as low as 5.5% currently statewide, up to 10 or 12 years, depending on a FICO qualification. On the commercial, we're looking at, they start about 7% or a little over 7%. Terms from 24 months on the commercial, and we've pushed some of the new ones with this new lender out almost to 20 years. So work very closely with DTE and consumers, but it's for energy efficiency or renewable energy improvements. So I think anything that basically is eligible for a rebate through those either utilities, or we have our northern Michigan utilities would qualify for financing in our program. It's a quick and easy process. Usually we can do a 10-minute approval on the residential end and 2 to 3 hours on the commercial side. Can get you pretty much what you need. You do need to be an authorized contractor. If you're not an authorized contractor in our program, be happy to help you do that. I'm over on the west side at least once a week, based in Lansing, but we have other contacts on the east side of the state as well. So any questions, I'll be sticking around throughout the night. I don't want to take too much time away from the program.
And you can add the new homes, right?
We can do it for new homes. It gets a little bit tricky. We have a debt to income requirement, so if you have a construction draw that's already in place, we just would need to run that through the process. But yes, it could potentially be eligible for that.
Yeah, we had a project team that wanted to add solar and geothermal, and just with the way the mortgage worked out, they just couldn't get enough power to get there, but they grabbed a Michigan Safe loan and they were able to add it to it, so very helpful.
Any other questions, though, please feel free to reach me. I've got some cards. I left some flyers on the residential program on each of your tables. And like I said, please don't hesitate. I can always stop by, or I'm available by phone just about any time you could need me.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Brett.
You want to come up solo?
Yeah, that's fine. How you doing tonight? Everybody good? All right, my name is Sulla Brooks. I'm the account manager for the Consumers Energy New Home Construction Rebate Program. That's a mouthful. Brett invited me up to give just a little bit of information, an overview of how the program works. So we'll get into it. Do you still have the slide there? So our rebates currently require the home to be, we do a whole home certification. It is not on the individual measures. We are giving up to $1,700 per rebate, and that varies based on energy service as well as your HERS score. You can go to the next. So as a builder, what we need from you is very basic. We don't need a whole lot. We need a participation agreement and a W-9, and that is to ensure that we can issue payment. You will need to get with a Energy Star certified HERS rater and HVAC contractor. From there, you will move on to your whole home certification. Then we will go into that wonderful paperwork that you guys love so much. And as account manager, I am available to help with the paperwork. Sometimes you're in the field, you don't have time to chase down the proper HERS certificate or fuel summary that we need to complete your paperwork. So up here, if you do have any questions, like I said, it's very, very brief. If you have any questions, I will be here until the end of the night, and as well, you can contact us here. Just take a snapshot of that picture. My program manager is Anthony Bauer, and I'm Solo Brooks. Yeah.
Thanks, Al. And I do know on the commercial industrial scale side, for consumers energy especially, if you're doing a LEED certification type of building, there are just peer rate rebates based on your energy modeling of where the building is at normally and where it'll be when you improve it, and it's actually based on the savings. So if you're shifting your fuel source all the way to electricity, then all of those rebates are going to be right through consumers, and you wouldn't be messing around with DTE, and it's just based on the energy savings, basically. So there's more information about that on the website there for them too. So here's our speakers lined up for tonight. I'm going to hand it off to them, and so we're going to first get started with Mike Schaefer with Mitsubishi. So come on up.